All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the elect, those that are fighting to endure unto the end, and that are calling on the names of the Father and the Son in all truth and sincerity, which are Yahweh, which is the name of the Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the only begotten Son, meaning He is our salvation. All right. And speaking of calling on the names and truth and sincerity, we're going to go into the lesson is don't deceive yourself. All right. Don't deceive yourself, because why? The Most High is going to search out and try the reins of your heart. All right. Matter of fact, let's start out with that right there in Jeremiah. Okay. Let's start out in Jeremiah 17, and let's read that. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and let's read verse 9. This is Jeremiah 17 and 9. It reads, "The heart which goes into your mind is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" So your heart, which is synonymous with your mind, your thoughts, is desperately wicked. Okay, that's why we was given this tool, these instructions on how to go about our everyday walk, our everyday, life. So don't deceive yourself, man. Okay, because you ain't gonna do nothing but put yourself in the midst of looking like a fool at the end. All right, and it's gonna go on to tell you, verse 10, Jeremiah 17 and verse 10. It reads, "I, Yahweh, search the heart." Okay, so Yahweh, He searches the heart. He tries out whether or not you believe, or not you just giving lip service. Okay, so don't deceive yourself. It reads, "I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways." So eventually you're going to be sought out for whoever you are, man. If you are coming in truth and sincerity, then you're going to receive that reward. But if you coming in as someone that's putting off and looking to play the part, but in actuality, you're just deceiving and fooling yourself, you're going to be tried out and you're going to be found out to be a phony, man. It says, "I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings." Okay, so it's much more than what you do on camera, as opposed to how you live your life outside of the camera when nobody's watching. Okay, because you got to remember, the Most High is always watching, man. All right, the Most High is always watching. So don't deceive yourself into thinking that you can put on a front or a fake or a facade for a show, and it's mostly behind trying to make a name for yourself. That's what it all usually comes down to, man. You want to make a name for yourself in this walk. All right. You lost that first love that you once had. All right. So don't deceive yourself. Let's go to Proverbs 15 and verse 3. Because the Most High, he tries the reins of every man's heart to see whether or not you are true and sincere, or are you just, putting on a front. This is Proverbs chapter 15. And let's start at verse 3. Proverbs 15 and 3. It reads, the eyes of Yahweh are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. All right? So what you do behind closed doors will be brought to the light, man. All right? Whether you live in a double life, in one aspect, you try to preach the word, but on the other hand, you're doing totally opposite of what you're preaching, man. That's where the old saying comes in, practice what you preach, okay? You can't be telling your congregation one thing and then on the other hand, you're doing something totally different, contrary to what you're preaching, man. You're going to be exposed for whatever it is that you do. Let's read that again, Proverbs 15 and 3. It reads, the eyes of Yahweh are in every place. So you can't hide. You can't put yourself in a predicament or a position or anything where you won't be sought out, okay? If you do good, guess what? According to this word, you're going to receive that which is good. And if you do evil, according to this word, guess what? You're going to receive that which is evil. It's just that simple. It says, beholding the evil and the good, right? So you can't get around this, man. It may seem like for a while you putting on a front for your people, for your congregation, for whoever followers you may have, but guess what? It all comes to the light eventually, all right? What you do in the dark will come to the light eventually, all right? So you can't play, this high mighty person on this hand, and then behind closed doors, you're doing all type of, wicked shit, okay? You can't have your cake and eat it too, man. So let's go to Hebrews chapter 4, and let's read verse 12. This is Hebrews 4 and 12. It reads, for the word, which is the Holy Bible, it says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So this word, this truth, we know is Yahweh. He comes in the volume of the book, all right? This word, this truth is sharper than any two-edged sword, man. It says what? Piercing even the dividing asunder of soul and spirit. So you see, this word, it has a way of exposing exactly who you are, all right? If you are fake or phony, it's going to expose that, all right? If you are a man of the Lord, you have integrity, it's going to expose that, all right? Time is the factor of showing whether or not somebody is true and sincere or whether they are fake and phony, man, all right? So don't deceive yourself. It says, let's read that again, Hebrews 4 and 12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful. You see, when it exposes you, it ain't gonna play around, man. All right? It's gonna expose you and put you out and let everybody know that take heed, stay away from this individual if you have any good sense about yourself. All right? See, Israel, you got to get over making these damn, men that put these titles on their names idols, as if they can't be touched. It's a reason why these people get exposed, man, because they that bad apple, all right? And you following after that, after they've been exposed, guess what? That's on you. As it says in the scripture, after you receive this word, and you sin, there is no more sacrifice for your sins, man. So you can't play ignorant or bliss to not knowing anymore, all right? You may have been able to say, I was following in ignorance, but now that person is exposed. You can't use that as an excuse anymore, okay? Oh no, we got to show that person mercy, or we got to show that. No, man. That person was doing wicked shit behind closed doors, man. And it was brought to the light to show you to what? That ain't the way to go, man. That person is misleading you, all right? And if you was wise enough and you was prudent, as it says, Proverbs 22:3, a prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself. So if this person is being exposed to being wicked and evil, what should you do? Hide yourself from that person, man. You don't go and try to exalt that person and make that person a god just because you think he did a little something, when when in actuality he was being used by the Most High, all right, or she, or whoever it is. So Proverbs 22:3 says, "A prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself." But the simple, the wicked, they pass on, man. Okay. So if you don't take heed after being shown the exposure of a wicked individual, and you want to continue to join hands with that person, what does it say? Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. Well, guess what? You're going to partake in that person's punishment too. So let's read that again. Hebrews 4:12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even the dividing asunder of soul and spirit. So this truth, man, it cuts right down to the bone, man. You know, it exposes you for who you are. You can do either two things, one or two things. You can take the necessary precautions and make the adjustments, or you can just ignore it and go on about your way, man. All right? But when judgment comes, and it will come to find you, you don't have anybody to blame but yourself. It says, end of the joints and marrow, it is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. What do we read in Jeremiah 17? The heart or the mind is deceitful above all things. You see, this word, this word right here, it brings out the thoughts of every man. Okay, it shows exactly who is who. This word shows the intentions or intents of every man. Okay, because you got some that say, well, I believe in this word, I preach this word, you know, but then you doing wicked shit behind closed doors, man. But it's only so long a fake ninja can pretend before he's exposed, man. All right, so don't deceive yourself. Let's read that again, this time all the way through. Hebrews 4:12. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So this word is true and sincere, man. That's why if you don't stay grounded in this word, it'll expose you for who you are, man. Whether you is one that like the fame, the notoriety, whether you are one that just like, you know, to be lukewarm, do something here, do something there, but you're not consistent, whatever it is, it's going to expose you for whatever it is you are, all right? So you can't do nothing. You can't fool the Most High. You might try to fool yourself. That's why the title of this lesson is Don't Deceive Yourself, because you ain't going to deceive the Most High, all right? So let's go to James 1. And let's start at verse... Let's start at verse 21. All right, this is James 1 and 21. It reads, wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your soul. Okay? So amongst coming into this world, Slakia, amongst coming into this word, you got to put away all those worldly things, man. Okay? It says what? Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness. Superfluity, you go into that word, is abundance. All right, so whatever you was doing out there in the world, man, you're supposed to put that off coming into this truth. All right? You're supposed to be a new man. You're not supposed to be doing the same things that you did in the world while being in the truth. Okay? You see? And that's what so-called Christianity tells you. You can continue to do as much sin as you want, and you don't have to be held accountable, because why? Good old Jesus died on the cross for you to do whatever you want to do and without being held accountable. And then once judgment comes, they can't explain to you why you getting judged. Okay? It says, verse 22, First James 1 and 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. All right? So you actually have to do a action. You have to do what the word says. And not just do it, but you have to live by it. All right? Let's read that again. James 1 and 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only. Why? Because if you just hear the word and you don't apply it to your everyday life, you're going to deceive yourself. All right? It may not be right away. It may not even be the next day, but eventually it'll catch up with you and it'll expose you. Remember, this word is quick and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting asunder to the spirit and soul, man. So if you continue to just hear the word, but you don't apply it to yourself, you're not only deceiving yourself, but hey, you putting yourself in the way of judgment. So it says, be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, right? Because just hearing the word ain't gonna do nothing for you. You gotta start to apply it to your everyday life, all right? And for those that know better, you're gonna receive more stripes, a more harsh judgment, all right? Because why? You knew better, all right? You knew the word. You knew the Lord was austere, all right? And you didn't go out and make the most of the pound that he gave you. You didn't flip it. You knew he was an austere man, all right? It says, and be doers and be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. All right? So guess what? If you just hear the word and you don't apply it to your everyday life, and you just, try to walk a tight rope where you got one foot in and one foot out, all right? And especially if you've been in this truth for a while and you know you're going off, but nobody sees you, so you don't have anything to be held accountable for, and that shows that you truly do not believe, all right? Because you put on a good show for man to see, but behind closed doors, when you with your lady, you do things that you ought not to do, man. And long as you keep it a secret, hush, hush, nobody knows. We can still put on this act in front of the congregation and still get that money, that bag, all right? But guess what? See, you knew better, all right? You knew what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to be a doer of what that is you preaching, not just a hearer, deceiving yourself. Let's go there and read that in Luke. I believe it's 12. This is Luke 12 and verse 47. Luke 12 and 47. This is Yahweh Shai speaking, red letters. It reads, "And that servant which knew his Lord will." All right? So you knew what the Lord required from you, all right? You knew he was an austere man, all right? You knew the will, all right? But you played games, man. So you tried to straddle the line of trying to be a man of the Lord and trying to be a man of the world, man. As it tells us in St. Matthew 6, you cannot serve two masters. Either you will love the one and hate the other. So you can't be in this truth and in the world, man. All right? You got to pick. It's one or the other. It says, "And that servant," Luke, this is the book of St. Luke, chapter 12 and 47. It reads, "And that servant which knew his Lord will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes." So guess what? You knew the will of the Father, but you want to play games because you knew in the eyes of your congregation or your followers that they looked at you as a God and you could do no wrong in their eyes. Amongst being exposed, you would have been lauded as the king of whatever. All right? But see, that's the beautiful thing about this truth, man. As it tells us in Romans 2, it says the Most High is not a respect of persons, man. The Most High don't care who you are. All right? You may be something amongst your followers, but he is exposing everything. This word is sharper than any two-edged sword. This is Romans 2. In verse 11. This is the book of Romans chapter 2 and 11. It reads, "For there is no respect of persons with the Most High." Hey, if you live in wrong, you're going to get treated wrong. You're going to be exposed, man. All right? Especially when you playing the part or playing the role of being a man of the Lord, man. The Most High take offense to that. Because why? You misleading the congregation, the flock. It's something if you're doing it on your own. You doing dirt on your own. You want to play the fool. You want to deceive yourself. Okay, fine, go at it. But now when you got a large congregation and you been given over to this congregation to be a leader or pastor, whatever, and you misleading this congregation intentionally, you're going to receive many stripes, man. Because you knew the will of the Lord. All right? You knew he was an austere man. And you know he's not a respecter of persons, but you didn't fear him. All right? That's why you continue to do the shit that you did, knowing the truth. So when you get exposed, nobody feels sorry or bad for you, man. Or when you get judged, nobody gonna feel sorry or bad for you. All right? Whatever that judgment is, okay? Nobody gonna feel sorry for you. Nobody gonna feel bad for you because you knew better. That's why I said Luke 12 and 49. Luke 12 and 47, "And that servant which knew his Lord will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes." How those stripes gonna look, we don't know. All right? And quite frankly, we don't care, because whatever it is you get, you deserve it. All right? Verse 48, "But he that kneweth not," you see? So those that don't know no better, guess what? They gonna receive stripes too, but not as many. All right? It says, verse 48, St. Luke 12 and 48, "But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes." All right? So those that don't know no better, that don't follow the truth. They just hear the word. They're not doers. They don't know exactly what's going on. They may try to plead, ignorant to the fact. They gonna receive stripes, but not as much as those that know the truth, man. And especially those that are regarded as those in high places, high positions, man. You see? So it's best to repent before you get exposed, okay? It's best to repent before you get exposed, because nobody goes unchecked, man. In this walk, you find that out. Nobody's gonna go unchecked, all right? That's why we gotta pray to endure to the end, man. Because just think, if we don't make it to the end, how much more of a hypocrite we gonna look like, man? In the eyes of the Lord. We gonna be naked. That ain't gonna be a good look, man. So how much more us that's preaching, if we don't endure and practice what we preach, we gonna look like a hypocrite in the eyes of the Lord, man. And that's all we care about. At the end of the day, we only care about what Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai perceive us as, all right? Because he knows us, man. He knows whether or not we are preaching this and sincere, or we just preaching this just so we can say we preaching it, but trying to use it and make merchandise or whatever on the backside, all right? So it says, verse 48, but he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. All right? That's why you seeing what's going on in Israel right now. All right? Should we fast for this person? Hell no, man. All right, you can if you want to. We're going to take it as face value, as this person was exposed for being a fraud, a phony, man. And whatever will come amongst him or upon him, he deserves every last bit of it, man. So when he gets his judgment, guess what? We're going to sit back and just, say that's why we fear the Lord, man. All right? Because you knew more. You knew the Lord was austere, man. You seen the works of him, all right? You had testimonies how he, preserved you from near-death experience. But what happened? You still wanted to try your luck, man. So guess what? You build up a cult following that your congregation, they don't see you as someone that can go off or go wrong. They see you as a God figure to them. That's why they're trying to do everything in their power to make your name be reestablished. But guess what? You can't do that which is of the Father. As it says in Acts 5, if this counsel be of man, it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it. All right? You got to see this thing for what it actually is, the exposure. All right? A person not living right, a person not doing what's required of him, a person not being a doer, and they get exposed, that's because they know the Lord knows that person wasn't doing what they was required to do. All right? So this thing that we walk in, this ministry that we walk in, man, it's not to be taken lightly, man. It's not to be taken lightly. All right? You got to count the cost when you pick up your cross, man. When you pick up your cross, you got to count the cost. Is or are you worthy to carry your cross to the end? If you don't have faith that you can carry your cross to the end, don't even pick it up. Just be a 2/3 ninja in the world, man. You see? At least they ain't a hypocrite, all right? At least they're not a hypocrite. They know they ain't gonna have no, need to make a repent or to make a amend for their evil ways. They know it. Whatever excuse they use, they know. Hey, I ain't gonna turn my life around. I'm too engrafted into this society. All right. I want to be a entertainer. I want to be a whatever. I want to be this. I want to be that. I ain't picking up that cross. That's why the Lord says, I would rather you be cold than lukewarm. But because you are lukewarm, I will spew you out my mouth. So guess what? Hey, either you count the cost, and the cost is you got to be ready to, you got to be willing to do this no matter what, until either you take your last breath or until the end of this world, this man's kingdom come to an end. That's the cost you got to. That's the cost you got to count. All right. It ain't no let me pick this cross up, let me put it down when it's convenient for me and pick it back up whenever I feel like. You're gonna get found out, man. All right, you're gonna get found out that you're a fraud, a phony, a fake, man. All right. It's only a matter of time before you get found out whether or not you are true and sincere, or whether you just talking a good game, man. So you may be able to deceive your congregation or whoever else by speaking and articulating words in such a manner that people think that you're smart and you have an idea. And you may well have an idea. You may know a little something. All right, but you don't know more than the Lord, man. Okay? You don't know what your lot entails. All right? Whether you're a throwaway, a 2/3, or whether you're a piece of gold that's going to be tried through the fire, man. All right? So that's why you cannot and will not make a mockery of the Most High. So don't deceive yourself. All right? Because what does it say? Galatians 6:7. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, there shall he also reap. Okay, roughly paraphrasing. Meaning, if you do bad and you think that you're getting away with it behind closed doors because nobody sees you, hey, the Most High watch you always, man. Proverbs 15:3. All right? You may get away with it for a little bit, all right? But eventually, you're going to be exposed, man. So don't deceive yourself. Don't fool yourself, man. Luke 12:48. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. So you get these congregations with thousands upon thousands of followers. All of them is just being led to the slaughter, man. By what? A blind leader. As it tells us in the book of Matthew, the 15th chapter, if the blind lead the blind, they both shall fall into a ditch. You see? And you're going to get more stripes and more, judgment because you knew better. You knew you was leading them blind deliberately to that ditch, man. All right? That's why it says, for unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. So you're gonna have a lot of blood on your hands, man. Especially after you being told time after time after time to put away that teaching, repent and do what's required of you according to the word. But because of your pride, your ego, you wouldn't allow that. You wouldn't allow yourself to see that. So now you got to be exposed. All right. And when you get exposed, what happened? Now everybody's supposed to feel bad for you, feel sorry for you. No, where was that at when those that actually cared was showing you and telling you you're going off? Where was that sympathy and compassion for everybody else, your congregation back then? They didn't have any showing you. They just following you. They just follow whatever they think. They ain't going by what the scriptures say. All right, because you got a world-friendly doctrine, it's more relatable to them. All right, they'd rather follow something like that than the strict, stringent laws and the word of the Most High, man. All right, because why? It'll cut their ass, man. All right, it'll cut them. And they can think about, well, I'm following after this person. I'm justified. He's got to be a man of the Lord. Look at his followers. He's got thousands upon thousands of people that follow him. No, that just means that they all following him to the damn ditch, man. To be what? Slaughtered. So it says, for unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall much be required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. Can we have a worldwide nation fast for this person? See, they want to ask much for this person when this person is a wicked damn Jake, man. All right, and he's been misleading you intentionally, man. He put his own lust before your well-being. You want to pray for somebody like that? That shows you that they can give a less about your rat's ass, that they put theyself before you, and they put theyself before the Most High. Come on, man. I ain't got no pity or sympathy for somebody like that. They deserve every last bit what they get, then some. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15 and verse 14. It reads, this is Yahushua speaking, let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. So you see, at some point in time, you got to just let them go, man. You rebuke them. You tell them they going off, and then they got to find out the hard way. You see, eventually they're going to find out the hard way, all right? That the Most High been seeing they wicked ass, man. All right, so everything comes to the light, man. All right, eventually you just gotta, the Most High is gonna show up, man. All right, he may give you a last chance, a last warning. All right, and if you don't do right, guess what? He don't have no problem with taking you out, man. All right, he is no respecter person. We read it at Romans 2:11. Okay, so back to James 1 and verse 23, it says, for if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass, right? Because you're just looking at yourself in the mirror. All right, you ain't doing anything about it, man. Yeah, I know I look good, you see. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, you see. See, that's the vanity of man, all right? Man is vain by nature. That's why we need this law, this book, all right, to put our ass in check, man, all right? It says, for if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. James 1:24, for he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, right? He look at himself. Nah, I'm good, man. I got it. I got everything under control. And then he go on about his business. He don't really examine himself. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourself. Look in that mirror, man. Take a hard look in that glass and see whether or not you be in the faith. And be honest about it, man. When you do that self-examination and you look in that glass, in that mirror, and you see your reflection, spiritually, of course, ask yourself, am I doing what the word tells me to? Or am I doing my own lustful thing, man? And if you got individuals that's telling you you're going off, you might want to look into it, okay? You might want to examine. You might want to pray to the Father through the only begotten Son, Yahushua, that he imparts you wisdom to see what it is that you're going off on, okay? You might want to do a fast for a couple of days. You might want to pray a little bit more often, all right? You might want to get in the spirit, all right? And stop being a damn 2/3 Jake while you trying to walk in this truth, man. Don't deceive yourself. Verse 25, James 1 and 25. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. Right. You see? So you look into this law of liberty, man, because we got grace right now. All right. And you got to do what is required and it asks of you. All right. And it starts off with examining yourself, man, whether or not you be in the faith. Okay. Verse 26, James 1 and 26. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain. You see? So if you bridleth not your own tongue, but deceiveth your heart, your faith, your religion is vain, man. All right? You gotta walk it like you talk it. All right? You can't be out here saying one thing and preaching one thing, and then you going all off on something totally different. All right? That's what you call a hypocrite. All right? And the Most High hates that. The Most High hates a false balance, man. All right? When you say one thing and you do another, that's a false balance, man. And the Most High hates that. Okay? I believe that's Proverbs 11 and 21. Make sure. Most High hates a hypocrite, man. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 11. And verse 1. Proverbs 11 and 1. A false balance is abomination to Yahweh. What is a false balance, man? You saying one thing and doing a whole totally something different, man. That's a false balance. It doesn't weigh out on the scale of righteous, okay? You're a hypocrite. And the Most High hates hypocrites, man. They are false balance. It says Proverbs 11 and 1. A false balance is abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. One that don't just hear the word, but actually apply it and do it. That's a just weight, man. That's what the Most High delights in. All right? If you hear the word and you do the word and then you renege on the word, but you try to do the word all while saying you believe in the word, that's a false balance, man. That's a hypocrite. All right? The Most High has no pleasure with that. No pleasure in that. Salakia. Okay? So back to James 1 and verse... Back to James 1 and verse 25. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. Verse 26, if any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceive his own heart, this man religion is vain. 27, pure religion and undefiled before the Most High and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So when you out here preaching and ministering to the saints, the fatherless and the widows, you got to be blameless, man. You got to be unspotless, all right? You can't be double-minded, all right? Because what? That's a false balance, man. And you're supposed to be bringing comfort to the fatherless and the widows, all right, of our nation, the elect, all right? You got individuals that look up and hang on to every word that you say, all right? And here it is, although they can't see what you're doing behind closed doors, the Most High can. And he can't have you staying in his truth, man. He can't have you preaching the word and putting off a facade that you righteous and that you got it under control, all the while you living a double life, man. He can't have you do that for his name's sake, man. All right? He's bound by his word, okay? You may have every aspect of trying to get your shit together, but you just can't get it together, but yet you leading the congregation to believe that you got your shit together. All the while you doing all type of freaky stuff behind closed doors, man. You know, all right? The Most High got to expose that, man. Don't deceive yourself. You ain't gonna get away with it, all right? Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9. Let's start at 22. This is 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 22. It reads, this is Paul, to the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Does this mean that if you preaching and an alphabet person is inquiring and asking you questions, you got to become an alphabet person to explain to them so that you may reach them? No, man. That's not what this is saying, man. This is saying that what? You got to sometimes, you know, go and actually what? Do the extra work, you know, in order to reach out to that brother, man. All right? Whatever it entails, man. If you got to make yourself weak for that part, for that moment to reach that brother, you're going to do it, man. All right? Because why? We all came from some way, some walk of life, man. All right? You understand that brother wrestling demons, okay? And he got a demon of sodomy or whatever. You don't just turn your neck up, you don't just turn your back on him, man. You tell him you got to repent, all right? And pray that the Lord has mercy on you. You got to weaken yourself for that brother's sake, man. It don't mean that you go down and become a sodomite so that you can reach him. No, man, you just got to, you know, weaken yourself, man, okay? To the sense that, hey, you got to understand mercy, man, okay? Because we all came from some way, some walk of life. Calling on false idols, you know, being adulterers, adulteress. Does that mean you got to be an adulterer or adulteress? No. Does that mean you got to be an idolatry? No. You just got to understand where that person's coming from, and you got to try to reach them, all right? Or try to at least facilitate the word so that the Most High can reach them, however it is that He's going to reach them, man. All right? We making ourselves what? Weak for the word right now, all right? So that we may reach whoever, okay? Some want to hear this and they'll make the adjustments if the Most High, through His only begotten Son, Yahushua, open up their ears and heart to hear this truth, man. Okay? So let's read that again. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 22. It says, to the weak became I as weak. So you see, to the weak, those that don't have the strength, those that don't have the, you know, the wherewithal to do this walk, to understand it, Paul became weak. He became to the point that he was able to sup with them and show them as much as they will receive it, man. Okay? He didn't become if that individual, whatever that infirmity that individual had, he didn't become that infirmity so that they can what? Say that we have something in common. No, man, that don't make sense. All right? Because the law in itself won't justify you, man. All right? The law in itself won't justify you. You have to show mercy and compassion. That's what Yahweh showed, man. All right? Certain Sadducees and Pharisees, they couldn't get that. They couldn't grasp that, man. So Paul said, what? To the weak, I am weak. All right? Because it's not just the law that justifies you. Okay? You got to have faith. All right? You got to have faith in Yahweh Shai. All right? It's a complete package, man. And ultimately, you got to be called from the foundations, the elect. So it says, 1 Corinthians 9:22, to the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. You see? So he showed the compassion, the mercy that Yahweh Shah showed. Because why? He himself was of that ilk, okay? That he was putting away those Christians that, you know, that believed in Yahweh Shah. Because you got to remember, on his road to Damascus, Yahweh Shah said, why persecutest thou I? Okay, because Saul, before his name was changed to Paul, he was a persecutor of the Jews, man. All right? So he had to become weak to reach the weak so that he may save some. All right? So it's understandable. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more patient as long as that person is getting it. But if a person already got it and they understand and they've been living and breathing this truth, and then all of a sudden the ways of the world comes in and choke them, and they don't want to have that 100% truth, they want to do shit on the side that they ought not to do, then they get judged. Nobody gonna have no pity for them, man. They knew better. We read that Luke 12:47. To him that knew better, they're gonna receive more stripes. But for him that didn't know, the weak, that's who Paul is trying to reach. So he became weak to let them know, okay? We showing you we weak, all right? We ain't gotta do this, man. But so that we may reach some, so some may hear it, whoever it is, we come out here and do this work, man. All right, we making ourselves weak. We making ourselves vulnerable. We making ourselves a spectacle, all right? So that we can reach some, if it's permissible, all right? Whoever this word is meant to reach, however it may be to reach, we making ourselves weak that we may reach the weak, all right? We ain't gonna become no damn sodomite. We ain't gonna become no adulteress. We ain't gonna become no fornicator or idolater to reach whoever know. We gonna put ourselves out there, as it says in Isaiah 30:20, though I give you the bread of affliction and the water of thirst, I will no longer hide your teachers in the corner anymore. All right? So now we out here on the highway and hedges, and I was roughly paraphrasing that out of Isaiah 30:20. All right, but now we're out here making ourselves weak, putting ourselves out here for a spectacle, just for the slight chance that we may be used to save some. All right? That's how we're making ourselves weak. That's how Apostle Paul made himself weak. It says, to the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. 23, 1 Corinthians 9:23. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partaker thereof with you. You see? 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? Right. So, hey, everybody ain't gonna get the prize, man. All right. Everybody trying to get into the race. Everybody figure out, okay, I believe in this doctrine. I believe in that doctrine. I believe in this philosophy. I don't believe in none of this. You all are in the race, whether you know it or not. Okay. This life, you all are in this race known as this life that you got, this life. Whether you want to accept it or not, everybody is in the race. Okay. It says, but one receiveth the prize, but only one is going to receive the prize at the end. Okay. You're going to get to see whether or not what you believed is right, what they believe was right, what you saw and heard was right, whether you saw and heard something that was wrong, whether it was right. It's going to be proven at the end. Only one is going to win the race, man. Only one is going to receive the prize of salvation. That's it. Only one. And that's the elect. Okay? It says, so run that ye may obtain. Right. So we got to come out here and run, man. You got to put yourself in the race, man. You see? If not, you don't even stand a chance of seeing whether or not you worthy to win the prize. Yeah, sometimes in this walk, you're going to get ridiculed. Sometimes in this walk, you're going to get challenged, man. All right, but that's all part of the race, okay? That's why he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. It says, 1 Corinthians 9:24, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain. Verse 25, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. So you got some that's in the race to receive an incorruptible. You got some that's in the race that's just running the race to receive that corruptible crown, man. All right? They don't really care. All right? To them, this is their prize. On this side, they done made it. They got a nice 45,000 square foot mansion. They got cars in the garage. They got everything, man. So they received their corruptible crown, man. They ain't really looking to finish the race anyways. All right? But to those of us that's in it to win it, that want that prize, that incorruptible crown, guess what? We hit the ground running, man. All right? And if we have the Holy Spirit, we're going to continue running that race until we cross the finish line, man. Now let's get that translation. Let's get this verse in a different translation. 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 25. Let's read it in another translation. Give me 1 second. That was 1 Corinthians 9 and 25. We're going to read it in an alternate translation. Give me 1 second to pull it up. I believe it's either the NIV or the NLT. Yeah, it's the NLT. So check this out. 1 Corinthians 9 and 25 in the NLT. It reads, all athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away. You see? So just think about all the athletes that came before you. Your Wilt Chamberlains, your Bill Russells, your whoever, all right? They may have won their trophy in their perspective sport, but they didn't win this trophy right here. And this word, this truth, Bill Russell has what? 11 championships. Wilt Chamberlain has what? He may not even have one, okay? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan. Let's not forget Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, known for training hard, known for having training sessions where he goes through blackout phases, where he trains so hard till he blacks out. All right? And what did that get him? 5 rings? And what did that get him overall? Nothing. He couldn't take those rings with him. Look what happened to him. He was destroyed, all right, by the way of a plane crash. So it says what? Let's read that again. 1 Corinthians 9:25. It says all athletes are disciplined in their training, right? Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, he was disciplined in his training. Kobe Bryant, we already know how he trains. He trains till he blacks out. It says all athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize, a trophy, all right? Even boxers, they do it to what? Win a purse or a belt. It says they do it to win a prize that will fade away. Why? Because they're gonna eventually die, man. And they can't take none of that shit with them to heaven, man. When they soul returns to heaven, they can't take none of that with them, man. It's all in vain. It all fades away. It says, but we do it for an eternal prize. You see? So what we do, we come out here, we do it for an eternal prize. All right? It ain't gonna fade away, man. All right? What we doing is to set us up for the kingdom of heaven. All right? That's gonna be brought here on earth. Okay? So we doing it for an eternal prize, whereas they're doing it for a prize that's gonna fade away. So don't deceive yourself, man. All right? Do not deceive yourself. 1 Corinthians 9:25. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible crown. 26. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I. Right. When you in this walk, in this truth, you got to have a purpose. You got to know why you here for, man. All right? You can't be double-minded. You got to know why you here. Why am I running this race for? You got to be honest with yourself too, man, because you're going to be found out whether or not you running this race, or you walking, or you jogging, all right? Because guess what? You ain't going to finish the race, man, okay? Only one prize. There's only one prize. There's no second place winner. There's no third place winner, all right? There's only one prize, man, all right? And you don't get a second place or a runner-up if you come close. No, you get your ass destroyed, man. That's your constellation prize. If you don't get it right, you're gonna get destroyed on this side, all right? So it says what? Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. 26, I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. right. You beat up the air. Who you fighting for, man? You don't even know what you're fighting. You out there just swinging. Swinging at nothing. You out there swinging at the air. Oh, I'm gonna hit something. Come on, man. You just hoping something land. No, man. You can't see. We ain't swinging at no damn air, man. All right. We know what we out here doing. It's gonna pay off, man. All right. We have faith because why? We are doers of the word, not just hearers, man. We're not deceiving ourselves. All right. Because if you deceive yourself, you're just gonna keep swinging until eventually you think you're gonna hit something. And by that time, you're gonna wear yourself out, man. You're gonna wear yourself out. You're gonna put down the cross and you're gonna go back into the world, man. All right. The Most High will expose you. Make no mistake about it. If you do evil, you're gonna get an evil reward. All right. And if you do good, you're gonna receive that of a good reward. Okay? There ain't no fooling the Most High. But this is 1 Corinthians 9:27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Right? So if you can't practice what you preach and you telling the others to do something all the while you're not, guess what? You a castaway. The Most High don't need you, man. He's gonna just cast your ass away. If you preaching to the congregation one thing, but you is doing something totally different, the Most High is gonna cast you away. Let's read it again. 1 Corinthians 9:27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Right? Because if you're not practicing what you're preaching, then what are you really doing? All right? You're living a double life, man. And as it says in James 1:8, a double-minded person is unstable in all his ways, man. So guess what? You just running out of time to eventually the Most High have no more need for you, and you a castaway. All right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, in the Apocrypha, 1611 King James Bible. You can find it. See, one thing you have to find out about this walk is this word, this truth. It gives you everything. All you have to do is take heed to what it says, man. It warns you of things that will happen if you don't take heed, and then it tells you things that will happen if you do take heed. All right? You pick the one, okay? And ultimately, if you are of the elect, you're going to choose the right one. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, and let's read verse 20. It reads, for the power, Ecclesiasticus 3:20, for the power of the Lord is great, and he is honor of the lowly. You see? So guess what? If you lowly and meek, the Most High honors that, man. Because why? Pride goeth before the destruction, man. All right? Someone with a haughty spirit and proudful, guess what? They ain't gonna last long, man. They're gonna be out of here quick. All right? That's why it's better to just be lowly, okay? So it says what? Sirach 3:20, for the power of the Lord is great, and he is honored of the lowly. All right? So you got to have a certain humility about yourself in this walk, man. All right? You can't be proudful and boastful like you know every damn thing, man. Because it's too much to search out in this book, man. All right? It's too much. You can never know everything, man. You got to be humble. Because if you knew everything, you would know whether or not you're going to endure all the way into the end. You would know if you are the elect. All right? There would be no need for you to have a certain level of fear of this truth if you knew everything, man. That's why we don't know, or we don't have any prior remembrance of our former life. We don't know who we were in the past or what we did. All right? That's why we got to tread carefully in this walk, man. Because you don't know, man. All right? So it says what? 21. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. Right. So you got to think upon what's commanded of you with reverence, man. Why? It says, for it is not needful for thee to see with thy eyes the things that are in secret. Right. Like I said, if you knew what you did in your prior life before coming back, it may make you fall out, man. To know whether or not, hey, man, just to think about all the deviant acts and things you could have probably did in your prior life before waking up. You don't want to know that, man. All right? You don't want to know that. So just be lowly and be humble, man. All right? You ain't got it all. You don't know who you are. Okay? You don't know if you called to be you don't know if you was called from the foundation to be one of the ones that endure to the end. All right? Verse 23. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. Right. So don't try to be too damn deep, man, because that's what a lot of these damn, so-called leaders of Israel want to be, man. They want to be deep. So in the beginning, they were humble, they were lowly, all right? But as their ministry grew and they got numbers, they had to start doing things that entail them to be to be idolized, all right? Going on to different podcast shows, doing certain debates, all right? Just to keep that level of fame going, of idolatry going. All right? It says, verse 23, Sirach 3 and 23, be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are shown unto thee than men understand. Right? So, hey, if you knew everything you did in your prior life, man, you probably would flip out. So don't take this walk for granted, man. Stay lowly and humble and meek. Verse 24, Sirach 3 and 24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion. Don't deceive yourself, man. Because you can think more, you can end up thinking more of yourself than what you actually are. All right? That's why we say you have to look into that natural glass, man. All right? And examine yourself. All right? Because you look into that natural glass and you may see a goddamn lion, and in actuality, you just a kitten. Okay? So don't get big-headed, man. Don't deceive yourself. Because this truth, this word, it don't need you, man. This word does not need you. You is insignificant. All right? In the overall thing of this word, in the overall thing of this word, you insignificant. There's a million of you ready to, as it says in the book, I believe John says what? The Most High can raise up stones, man. All right? He can raise up stones. He don't need us. Let me see if I can find that. Give me 1 second. So you got to be humble, man. Okay? All right, this is the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 3 and verse 9. It reads, and think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that the Most High is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. So see, the Most High don't need your black ass, your Spanish ass, your Native American ass. He can raise up stones, man. And knowing that you can be a castaway at any time, hey, you got to walk lowly and humble and meek in this thing, man. Don't deceive yourself. You see? You can easily get big-headed by seeing thousands upon thousands of subscribers and viewers. And the Most High could take all that shit away, man. Shut down the internet tomorrow. And then you ain't got nothing to show for it, all right? So it says, Sirach 3 and 24, for many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Right. So if you get too big-headed, man, the Most High give you over to that damn opinion of yours, man. That's what you want? Okay, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you your wildest imaginations. I'm gonna allow your delusions to come to reality. And then you see your house wasn't clean, man. You see, you didn't have your house in order. You thought that you can take on the weight of this world, and it proved to be more than you can handle. Because why? You ended up deceiving yourself. You didn't clean out your house. All right? So that's why you got to really examine yourself, man. Okay? Now let's go back to Galatians chapter 6. This is Galatians chapter 6 and verse 3. It reads, for if a man think himself to be something. So if you think of yourself to be something, it says what? When he is nothing, when you ain't shit, man. All right? You think you everything and then some when it comes to this truth, man. It says, for if a man think of himself to be something, he is nothing. He deceiveth himself. You see? So you're going to deceive yourself. In your attempt to be something in this truth, you're going to end up being nothing, but exposed to be a fraud and a phony, man. So don't deceive yourself, all right? If any man think of himself to be something, he is nothing. It says, he deceiveth himself, verse 4, Galatians 6 and 4. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. So what we doing right now, we're proving our own work, man. All right? And the proving doesn't end till we get beamed up. All right? So we are on a constant state of having to prove ourselves whether or not we are worthy, man. Okay? It ain't just one day you wake up and you say to yourself, I got it all figured out. I'm good now. You can't do that, man. All right? You got to constantly prove yourself, because why? We in this sinful flesh. All right? We are in this sinful flesh. It says, but let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. Verse 5, Galatians 6:5. For every man shall bear his own burden. Right. So we all got to bear our own burden, man. All right. You can't bear that man's burden and he can't bear yours, man. See? We all got to bear our own burden. Because why? We're going to all have to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, man. All right? When that time comes, you ain't going to have, someone there to carry you and walk you and help you. No, you're going to have to rely on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man, and everything that you did now in these times to prove yourself. Okay? So don't be deceiving yourself as if you got it all. Okay? That you know everything. You got to continue to walk with that level of humility, right? This is the book of Ephesians 4 and 22. Okay? Ephesians 4 and 22 says what? That you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. All right? So that old man is supposed to be no longer a part of you or who you are, man. All right? And some of our people, although they claim to be in the truth, they still carry on conversations of the old man. All right? Deceiving their whole flock, their whole congregation. And most important, they deceive themselves. Okay? Because they're not going to deceive the Most High, man. So it's a certain level of humility that you have to exhibit in this walk. All right? You have to show growth, man. Okay? You don't have it all just because you think you've been in the truth for 5, 10, 15 years, man. All right? It takes time to mature in this thing. All right? So let's read that again. Ephesians 4 and 22. That ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man. All right? So you can't be in this truth still trying to do things that you did in the world, man. That's the old man. You're supposed to put that off, man. All right? And put on what? It says, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. 23, here it is. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind. 24, and that you put on the new man. You see? So you got to come into this truth, put off the old man, and put on the new man by the renewing of your spirit. All right? A lot of people, they don't want that. They don't want to give up the ways of this damn world, man. So what? They keep that conversation of the old man while trying to pretend like they got the new man on. Okay? But you can't deceive the Most High. All right? And don't deceive yourself, because you will be found out. All right? Whether you live a double life or not. Verse 24, Ephesians 4 and 24. And that you put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness. All right? So it's a level that you have to conduct yourself in according to this Bible, which is what? Righteousness and holiness. All right? You have to hold yourself to a higher standard or level than you did when you was in the world, man. That's why you have to put off the old man, the old conversation, and put on the new man by the renewing of your spirit, your mind, your heart. All right? You can't be double-minded, man. All right? You can't try to have your cake and eat it too. If you want to be in the world, be in the world. If you're trying to serve the Most High, serve the Most High. All right? You can't do both. Okay? You cannot do both. It says 25, Ephesians 4 and 25. Wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Right. So you have to be speaking truth, man. Okay? You can't be speaking lies to your neighbor, man. All right? You may deceive them to a certain degree, but eventually the Most High gonna expose you. And if they see that, they gonna know not to deal with you in that capacity anymore. All right? Let's go to Colossians chapter 2. And let's start at verse 8. This is Colossians 2 and verse 8. It reads, beware, right off the rip, beware, take caution. This is what this Bible does. This Bible warns you of danger, all right? If you were smart, you would take heed and listen. This Bible has caution, beware throughout the whole scriptures. Because why? Man is vain, man. Okay? You got to be careful of who you entrust your learning and your growth with, all right? Pray to the Most High, and He will send you pastors according to His heart, all right? So this is Colossians 2 and verse 8. It reads, beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. So guess what? You got men that's great in the art of speaking, that can articulate words and can make you think that they are, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% sent from the Father above, until He exposes them, all right? Until He exposes them. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ, Hamashiach. So, hey, just because this individual is coming off as a man of the Lord, you got to be careful, man, because those be the ones that know they going off, but they don't really care because they don't fear the Lord. All right? They don't fear the Lord. It says, what does it say? I believe it's Psalms. What is it? How does it go? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All right? So some of them don't fear Him because they don't have any wisdom. Verse 9, Colossians 2 and 9. For in Him dwelleth all fullness of the Godhead bodily. That's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which are all separate entities. Verse 10, and ye are complete in Him, which is the head of all principality and power, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands. Right. So you see, this is spiritual, man. All right. You got to pray. All right. And the Father will send you the comforter. All right. Yahweh said that way, He would not leave us comfortless. Okay. So it says, verse 11, in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands. Yahweh, man. It says, in putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Hamashiach. Yahweh. Verse 12, buried with Him in baptism. Right. This word is what cleanses us up, man. This word is what tried the reins of the heart of man. We started off with Jeremiah 17 and 9. This word is the truth, man. It's that natural glass that if you look at it and you examine yourself, you're going to find out whether or not you're in the faith, if you're honest, man. Now, if you being a 2/3 ninja and you misleading the congregation, then, hey, you're going to be found out eventually, okay? So it says, buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High, who have raised him from the dead. And you, being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, have he quickened together with him. Speaking of Yahushua, all right? Because when he sacrificed himself and he died on the cross, he did more than just die on the cross for Israel. He allowed us to come back to the Father, man. Because up until then, all our sacrifices was useless, man. All right? Because Jake was sacrificed and go off intentionally, all right? That's why you can't deceive the Most High. You may deceive yourself, saying that you righteous and you keeping the Passover and the feast days, but all the while you doing wicked shit behind closed doors, man. You see? So the Most High had to make a perfect sacrifice in Yahushua, to uncircumcise us without the hands. It says what? And you, being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, have he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses. Verse 14, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. You see? So what he did was, in his sacrifice for the nation of Israel, he nailed it to the cross, man. All right? So now we have a way back to the Father, man. All right? We have to nail everything that we had prior to coming into this truth to the cross, to who? Yahushua. All right? Because if not, we don't do anything but deceive ourselves, man. You see, and that's what Jake got to find out, man. Jake got to figure it out the hard way, all right? It's only so long that you can pretend, all right? It's only so long until you're exposed for who you truly are in this walk, man, all right? You can deceive your congregation, you can deceive those that follow you, but you can't deceive Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. That's why the title of this lesson is Don't Deceive Yourself, all right? Because you're just gonna do yourself a disservice and you're gonna be found out in the end, in the long run, as being a fake and a phony, all right? And some, that proves to be more than they can handle, and sometimes they take matters into their own hands because why? There'll be spirits created for vengeance, all right? They give over to the thoughts of their imaginations, and they sometimes, you know, do the unthinkable, all right? You get what I'm trying to say? Read between the lines, all right? If you weak in this truth, you're gonna be found out. It's gonna be sought out that you weak. And if you can't handle the scrutiny, it may be too much for you to continue to be on this earth with, all right? And you may seek to see other ways to leave this earth. And that's just the spirit being on you to do it. That's all part of judgment. So let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10, all right? Because part of this walk, man, is knowing yourself, okay? And you have to know, all right? Don't deceive yourself. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 10, and we're gonna start at verse, let's start at verse 5. 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 5, it reads what? Let's start at verse 4. Let's start at verse 3. 2 Corinthians 10 and 3. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh, all right? So yeah, we in the flesh, but we don't war after the flesh, all right? Because why? We're not deceiving ourselves. We understand this thing is spiritual, all right? We understand that we wrestle not against principalities, man. But principalities in high place. Salakia for misquoting that. All right, but we understand we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, man. As it's going to say, verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, to the pulling down of strongholds. You see? So this is a spiritual war, man. All right, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities in high places, roughly paraphrasing it. But this is a spiritual thing, man. All right? And if you can't get a grasp on it, it will consume you, man. If you can't fully engraft yourself into this truth and you try to put one foot in and one foot out, the Most High gonna spew you out, man. He gonna get rid of you. Just that simple. All right, he doesn't need you. Be ready. He can raise up stones, man. So he doesn't need you. If you can't get a grasp on this understanding and concept, you won't make it that long. Okay? So it says 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the power to the pulling down of strongholds. Verse 5, here it is. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High. Man will think of themselves as more than they ought to. That's why we got to cast down those imaginations. All right? Don't deceive yourself. That's the title of the lesson. Those imaginations, those thoughts in your mind, they will allow you to deceive yourself if you don't cast them down. So it says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. Right. So whatever we have issues with, thoughts with, we got to pray on them. All right? We got to pray on those thoughts that we know if we act that out and go ahead and go through with it, it's going to be to our detriment. You know, pray to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? And if it's meant to be, he gonna give you the understanding and the willpower not to what? Be given over to that thought, that imagination. Okay? So let's read it again. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 5. It reads, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge. Right. So if you examine yourself truthfully and you find out that you going on these podcast shows, you doing these community drives, you doing this, you doing that, is speeding your process in serving the Most High to the fullest, where there's no guile found in your mouth, you got to cast down that imagination. Those are imaginations. Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing a community drive, a community march for the neighborhood, for my people. I'm going on podcasts. I'm doing interviews. I'm doing debates. You see? That's all imaginations that's going on in your head, but they don't line up with the rule, with the laws, statutes, and commandments that's in the Bible. And it tells us what in these last days that we should be what? Preaching, being instant in season and out of season, man. That's it. Everything else leads to us having imaginations that we are more than what we are. All right? Just keep it simple, man. Just preach the word, man. When you try to be a podcast divineer, a podcast guru, and try to incorporate it into the Bible, oh, I got caller number 9, open up the lines, what can I do for you? You see? You try to justify what you're doing to make it seem like you're doing the work of the Father, when all we was told to do was what? Preach, man. That's it. Just preach. Don't have no damn podcast where you try to use the word to help promote your podcast. Do that shit on your own, man. Do that away from the word. Do a clothing line without using the word. Do whatever you want to do outside of preaching on its own without using the word, man. It's just that simple. Okay? If you want to do podcasts, do it far as way as possible from this word. Don't bring the word into it, because then you starting to what? Exalt yourself. You're starting to what? Put yourself up as an idol for the nation of Israel to see. All right? And you got to be as low key as possible. As it says, he must decrease. I mean, it's like as John said, I must decrease, he must increase. You see? So in this walk, man, you got to cast down those imaginations, because they'll allow you to think that you're doing something that's commendable and honorable for this word. When in all actuality, you're doing opposite of what the word says. You're going against the word, all right? And that's why this word gives us instructions. Cast down those imaginations, all right? And sometimes you can't see it in that natural glass. So guess what? The Most High will send brothers to tell you, to warn you, to allow you to know, to look, examine yourself, look in that natural glass, see whether or not you exalted yourself. And if you honest with yourself and you see that you are, you got to scale it back, all the way back to the fact that you don't even see yourself no more. All right? To the fact that you just preaching. That's when you know that's when you know you are what? In the beginning of wisdom. Okay? Because as it says what? Let's see if we can get that. Let's see if we can get that in Psalms. Give me 1 second. All right, it's Proverbs actually. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 10. It reads, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. So the fear All right? You got to have a level of fear, and then you will be imparted with wisdom, man. All right? So if you don't have a healthy dosage of fear, you ain't going to get too far in this walk, man. All right? You got to have a healthy dosage of fear of Yahweh, and then you will be imparted with wisdom. The Holy Spirit will start to sup with you. All right? But if you want to be a two-third Jake, man, and you want to do things on your own and think you figured it out and think you can go on podcast shows and somehow incorporate this truth into it and tell yourself that you reaching people throughout the world by going on these podcast shows, hey, man, you ain't got it. All right? You got it in the eyes of the people, but in the eyes of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah, you don't got it, man. It's just that simple. Let's read it again. Proverbs 9 and verse 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. So if you do what the word tells you, man, it's just that simple. All right? You will start to see things more clearer, more lucid, more understandable. All right? But if you try to do your own thing, go off on different tangents and try to make the word, worldly, you're going to look like a fool, man. And you're going to end up deceiving yourself when the title of this lesson is Don't Deceive Yourself. And how do you not deceive yourself? By fearing the Lord, man. All right? By fearing Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, you will not deceive yourself. All right? So I do believe that's going to be it. All right? So with that being said, we're going to turn and face the east and give all praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Right? Shalom to the elect. Till next time, if it be the Lord's will, I'll be Father will. Until the next time, shalom. Peace.